Let's go to combat. I think we do need a bit of card draw to our name. Let's draw a card. Whose stuff are we going to pump up? We'll pump up zombie stuff.
Today on Commander Replay, we check out Shadrix Silverquill and try to figure out which mode is best for us and which mode is worse for our opponents. Next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, help support me and save 15% on singles by using the promo code REPLAY at mothershipaTX.com. Commander Replay t-shirts, available in orange and colors beside orange. Welcome back everyone, Elder Dragon Week with Shadrix Silverquill. Take a look at this opening hand. It's got lands, it's got a piece of ramp, piece of removal, and some card draw. That seems good enough for me. We'll go ahead and keep. Hopefully the Phyrexian Arena will get us into some exciting stuff. Not the most exciting opening hand ever, but has all the elements of the things we want. Mana, ramp, card draw, and removal. Oh no! Danny brought not a black-white deck. He brought Ghen, which is close, it's Mardu, but we would have had 4 black-white decks. That wasn't planned for, that was just a random thing that happened. Looks like we're kicking it off. There's a Mind Stone for our first turn. We'll drop this Emeria since it does come in tapped, and we will pass turn like that. By the way, this deck list does come to us from Patreon supporter Champion of Thune. He sent me a list last night. I made a couple tweaks to it. Tweaked mostly the removal and the ramp, just a little bit. I added 2 to 3 ramp cards in the deck just because it's a little bulky mana-wise. I wanted to make sure that we're producing enough. Ooh, that's a Smothering Tithe. That's kind of ridiculous. But also changed around the removal a little bit. I don't think I added any. I think I just changed. He had a lot of spot removal, and I changed 1 or 2 of them over to board wipes instead. It was a little bit light on just traditional board wipes, so went that direction instead. That's just more of my personal liking. But other than that, kept most of the deck intact. I think I only made about 4 or 5 changes. So yeah. Anyway, we're gonna play that Plains. We're gonna drop in a Talisman, and we will pass like that. Got some options. I may not go straight for the Smothering Tithe. Smothering Tithe is really strong. Like, really, really strong. I've noticed that Smothering Tithe has been the deciding factor in a lot of games I've been playing recently. Like, in the games where it's shown up, that player has won, I think, more than 50% of the time. Going back my last, 10 to 15 games of Commander. When it's in play, it just does so much, and inevitably, someone hits the big card draw spell or the wheel, and someone has way too much mana. It's not necessarily the early game mana, which it is very good. Like, if we played it right now, it would be very strong, assuming it didn't immediately get shot. But it's not necessarily the 3 extra mana a turn. It's that turn where you have 10 extra mana in a turn or more that really kind of makes things get wild. Opponents chit-chatting that they did bring removal today, so, I don't know that if we laid a Smothering Tithe down right now that it would actually do what we want it to do. Also makes me a little bit nervous about trying to jam a Phyrexian Arena down there. Don't feel great about that either, because if we lose it, we can't really get it back. Opponent goes Soul Ring into Shadow Spear. Decent starts for our opponents. Let's play the Swamp. Puts us on 4 mana. Does our commander draw cards? Yeah, our commander draws cards. Okay, so let's get the Arena in, even though... Oh, nope, I didn't do that right. Yeah, I definitely mistapped. That being the case, I don't have enough black mana for the Arena this turn, so that being the case, let's just play the Mikaeus. Someone wants to use removal on it, that's fine. Oops. God, I don't actually remember the last game I filmed. It's probably been a week. One of the things that allows me to be good at Commander, and also Magic Online, because those are 2 separate skill sets that you need to get good at both, is just the fact that I play a lot, and when I take some time off, I do notice that I'm a bit rusty on both fronts. Mesa Enchantress for opponent, yeah. Nice little card. It is a Ghen deck. Makes perfect sense in there, and I got some boots, so they'll have some protection and some haste. Put the boots on the Enchantress. I don't think there are any Lightning Greaves in this deck, and that's one that I would probably try to get in. I didn't want to cut too many of the flavor cards from the deck, so I left as many of them in as I could, so I tried not to go too wild with adding additional ramp removal card draw. The deck's probably a little bit light on card draw. I added this Phyrexian Arena just because I wanted to have just a little bit more than what was in here. But overall, I know I could add more staples, but I wanted to try and get a look at as many, cards unique to this deck as I possibly could, so. Anyway, let's take a look at our commander. We haven't actually done that yet. It's a 5 mana, 2/5 flying double strike. At the beginning of each combat on your turn, you may choose 2. Each mode must target a different player. Target player creates a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying. Target player draws a card and loses a life. Target player puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature they control. This is a really unique commander, especially to this slice of the color pie. I don't know that there's a lot to compare this commander to. It definitely has some elements of group hug to it. Champ said he's played this deck a little bit, and he said, you can definitely make good decisions in the sense of, like, if someone doesn't have creatures, you give them the +1/+1 counter mode or something like that, and there's definitely a lot to be doing with that. So lots of cool decision making here. The deck today, and we'll take a look at it after our turn, it's going to have a lot of tokens and things like that, and it also has a solid amount of just good black-white stuff in the deck, so pretty interesting commander. Excited to see how things go with this deck, and let's get our commander in right here. We'll hold up the Emeria like we have a path. We do not. So cast in Shadrix. We'll just tap this out right now. I guess we could have held that up for blocking purposes, but the board's not looking too aggressive at the moment. Shadrix trigger. We'll try the draw mode, and we'll put a +1/+1 counter on. We're going to draw the life, and Danny can make his creature a little bit bigger. We draw an Ancient Tomb, more ramp. We'll pass like that. Let's go take a peek at the deck. So here's the deck list. See, it's a little bit bulky at 4 and 5 mana. Ideally, I would love to get that down a little bit, but there's so many good cards at 4 mana in white now. It feels like whenever they want to print a powerful card in white, they just put it at 4 mana, which it's nice to be having powerful cards, but also you do get handcuffed in the sense that, like, you can only run so many cards at 4 mana. So a little bit bulky right here, but a lot of these are things that I definitely wanted to keep. Deadly Rollick is probably one of the weakest options, and it's still a really good card. But what we see a lot of token things in the deck. We got an Eiley in here for some life gain. We got a Daxos for some life gain. Also some life gain stuff going on too. Linden, more life gain. Bastion of Remembrance. We got a Lenda. We got Basri. We got Archangel of Thune. Is a cool card. Krav and Regna are going to be big parts of this deck. They're just really good. Blot Out the Sky is one that I'm very excited for. So kind of a mishmash of good black-white stuff. We'll have a little bit of tokens, a little bit of life gain, a lot of removal, just stuff like that. So excited to see where this goes. Agent of Erebos coming in for opponent. Someone's graveyard's about to get exiled. Here comes the Smothering Tithe. Yeah, there's probably going to be some of those this game with 4 black-white decks. One's a Mardu deck, but you get the idea. Do that first check on removal. See who's got one. There's the Smothering Tithe trigger. This thing would be cool if you're doing a Mardu combat deck. You have some extra combats in there. Put an Aurelia in play. You can pump it up or draw some cards. All seems like good stuff. General Kudro coming in for opponent. Let's take a look at what our opponents are playing today, by the way. We'll start in reverse order. So Zombie casting his commander. That's General Kudro. 3 mana, 3/3. Other humans you control get +1/+1. When it or another human enters the battlefield under your control, exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. And pay 2, sacrifice 2 humans, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. I'm honestly surprised that I haven't seen more of General Kudro. There's a lot of cool abilities stapled onto that commander. Free graveyard exile is a really nice thing to have. An Anthem effect is solid. Repeatable removal is a really good thing also. So yeah, it just does a lot for a small amount of mana. It does put you on human tribal a little bit, but humans are still the biggest tribe, I believe. I think there's over 2,000 humans in the game, so, you can play a human tribal deck that really isn't that much of a tribal deck just because there are so many good options for that creature type. More than any other creature type, so yeah. Anyway, we draw into a Tymna on our turn. It should be pretty good. Surprisingly, we don't have any of that spot removal that we talked about. I would love to get rid of that Smothering Tithe. Don't know that it's going to be an option this turn, though. Yeah, let's just go to... Actually, no, let's get the Tymna in first. It's definitely a pre-combat kind of thing. Yeah, let's go to combat. Who is the threat? When in doubt, attack Mango. I've been playing with Mango a lot recently, and he's no slouch when it comes to deck building. And if you give him an inch, he'll take a mile. So he's probably going to take a little bit of damage right here. We're going to pump up our stuff. Zombie asked if he could draw a card. We'll give him a card. And we'll pump up our things. That will trigger the Smothering Tithe. Go to combat. We'll swing into Mango with the 1 in the air. We'll swing into Danny with this one. We'll see if he wants to block. He probably doesn't. And if he doesn't, we can draw a second card with Tymna, which seems pretty good. Ooh, should have played the Ancient Tomb first, I think. Gonna burn some of our colorless mana here. So there's the first hit. Second hit, we hit twice. Tymna's gonna give us a trigger for 2. We'll pay the 2 life. Oh, right, Tymna doesn't use mana. That's why Tymna's insane.
I forgot. No mana needed. If they put if it costs 1 to do that, would be such a more balanced card. Not paying for the Smothering Tithe right here. Opponent's gonna have a ton of mana, no big deal. There's a Blot Out the Sky. That would actually blow up a Smothering Tithe. Here's a new one. I've actually been interested in trying this one out. Create X 2/1 white and black Inkling creature tokens. If X is 6 or more, destroy all non-creature, non-land permanents. So artifacts, enchantments, planeswalkers. I don't think I missed anything there, but maybe I did. Who knows? Yeah. What are we doing right here? We've got 3 mana. We could go up to 5 mana. Does that matter? Do we just drop the Smothering Tithe? I'm going to play the Ancient Tomb. Let's get that into play. 4 players on black-white makes me nervous about austere commands and things like that. Like, part of me is almost thinking, play around some of that, but if it never shows up, then we look kind of bad. It's kind of a tough place to be, honestly. Yeah, I think I might just play it cool for a turn right here. Because I think we're getting to the point where, we could potentially see an austere command if someone has it, and I would like to not lose all of our things to it. Smothering Tithe continuing to trigger. Because, the thing right now is that just running the Soul Ring down there and then either Smothering Tithe or Phyrexian Arena after it doesn't directly translate into us winning the game faster. This is going to be a slower paced deck. Definitely more of a late game kind of thing. So we can't just bum rush our way to a win with this deck. It's not what it does. So trying to be smart about what we commit to the board in the face of what is probably going to be some fairly serious removal. There's Ghen coming into play. Yep. They have not played any... Oh, no, they do have 1 enchantment. So they played 1 enchantment so far. It's the Agent of Erebos. Mango primed for a big turn right here. 6 treasures. It's pretty good. Let's take a look at what he's playing, by the way. He's in fact playing a Teysa Karlov, who he's casting right now. And he said it's Death Tribal. We'll see a lot of these when it dies type creatures, which should be pretty good. Should be pretty good with Teysa. Typically with Teysa, I just see a ton of aristocrats and that style of thing. The versions that I see are usually a bunch of cards that don't matter that much, and then Blood Artist and multiple Blood Artist triggers that kill you. That's kind of the brand of Teysa Karlov I've run into over the years, but it looks like he's taken a little bit more fun with it. Not saying there's no Blood Artist in the deck, but not just going for all the most commonly played things, which is exciting. Cosmos Elixir. Interesting card. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card if your life total is greater than your starting life total. Otherwise, you gain 2 life. In this case, they appear to be 1 short, although they can equip the Shadow Spear attack and then get themselves over their starting life total. And that looks like what they're going to do. Equip the General Kudro. One thing to think about is that this Blot Out the Sky can kill a lot of enchantments. When there are a lot of enchantments in play, that is one of those things that's kind of a headache to deal with. So, we might want to hang on to this for a little bit. I am worried about the Smothering Tithe, but it's also that issue of we don't want to burn our removal. We have a piece of removal that's really good against what this deck is doing, and you don't want to use this too soon. Opponent sending in the General Kudro, and Mango gonna block with the Doom Traveler. Our final opponent, by the way, is D-Manny piloting Ghen, Arcanum Weaver, one that we've seen a little bit on the channel. 3 mana, 2/3, pay Mardu, sacrifice an enchantment, return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, an enchantment reanimator in Mardu. I haven't seen the most powerful builds of Ghen yet. It does take a little bit to get this deck going. It's not the fastest deck ever, but you can get to a place in the late game where if you have multiple high-impact enchantments in play, people basically, can't attack you at all, and you just kind of build this fortress that's very difficult to penetrate. So, you got to be careful if you go late against the Ghen, but generally, from what I've seen, the early and mid-game can be a little bit soft with that deck. Opponent's at 44, so they're going to draw a card at the end step with this Cosmos Elixir. Opponent's creature did die, and they get 2/1/1 Lifelink Vigilant Spirits. Easy to forget, but there's a line of text on here that says, creature tokens you control have Vigilance and Lifelink. I do tend to forget about that line of text quite often. Another Smothering Tithe trigger for opponent. Ooh, we got a new land in this deck. Shine Shadow Snarl. As it enters battlefield, you may reveal a Plains or a Swamp. If you don't, it comes in tapped. We do have a Plains. Yeah, let's just do that. We'll reveal the Plains. Let's go to combat. I think we do need a bit of card draw to our name. Let's draw a card. Whose stuff are we going to pump up? We'll pump up zombie stuff. Oh, that's a Sun Titan. Those are good. Not paying. That makes me... We'll probably hold that Sun Titan for a while. But I feel a little bit more confident dropping the Soul Ring and the Phyrexian Arena now, because we have a way to get them back. We'll keep this one on Mango for the commander damage. We'll send Protection from Black, you say. And it's a 4/4? It's pretty large. It's pretty large. Maybe we're not going anywhere with the others. There are some things on board. Oh, right, opponent's got a token. Forgot about the token, so we'll eat a token. No triggers for the Tymna. Sadness. Let's play the Soul Ring. Play the Phyrexian Arena. I think I'm just going to draw with the Mind Stone right now. We've ramped decently. We've got the Smothering Tithe in waiting. And I think I just want to look at an extra card. Zulaport Cutthroat. Real magic card. I guess we can pay right here. Don't have that much going on. We use the Ancient Tomb just to leave up the Kaya's Guile if needed. This is a creature you control type card. Want to keep that in mind. Maybe we start giving ourselves some tokens? That probably makes sense, because if we give ourselves some tokens with the Mikaeus, we can make them big pretty quickly. Wanted to do some attacking? Gonna poke us for one with the Spirit? Yep, it's got Vigilance. We don't have flyers. Down to 33. Passes with all their mana up. That is suspicious. Cage Sun, those are pretty good. Endless Atlas, more card draw. End step, Vil gets draw a card. Brings it back to our turn, Phyrexian Arena trigger. Phyrexian Altar is a good card. Smothering Tithe. Daxos is a decent card. Play the land. How do we get some damage in? I'd like to get some damage in. Maybe draw with Tymna a bit more. Oh, I totally forgot to use Mikaeus last turn. Oops. I think I'm going to play the Zulaport Cutthroat right now. I'm going to go 2-1 and +1/+1 counter. We'll give ourselves the 2-1. Danny can pump their stuff up a bit. Mango and his 14 treasure tokens is making me a bit nervous. So I think I'm just going to swing over there and see what happens. Attack like that. See what he wants to do. Oh yeah, he's got stuff. Nope. Decides not to. We'll pump with Mikaeus. Yeah, they'll block with the Spirit. Yep. Eat another Spirit. Not looking to trade the 2-1 in yet. There's a Tymna trigger. We'll pay the life. It's an Eily. We'll pay for the Smothering Tithe. Still just kind of in this holding pattern. Waiting for the removal to happen. It hasn't really. But it's also like, with the cards we have, they don't win the game super fast. Although, if we make a token every turn, or even with what we have right now, if we put like +1/+1 counters on it every turn, it's going to get pretty big. And what I'm seeing is that, like, based on what we have, you don't have to commit that much to the board with Shadrix. It does a lot of different things for you, so you can just let it keep doing that. And seems pretty good. Do we play a Daxos and expose it to a board wipe? I don't know that it's worth it. Yeah, I think I'll just sit on the Kaya's Guile. I could sacrifice creatures to Eily if a board wipe happens. Seems like it makes sense. Vona's Hunger? I don't think they have City's Blessing. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. If they have the City's Blessing, sacrifice half those creatures instead, round it up. That's a pretty good card. I should actually use that a little bit more than I do. I don't play a ton of black these days, but it is definitely one worth looking at. This is probably a pretty good deck for it, honestly, because Shadrix can make you... Oh, no, they do have the City's Blessing. All right. Definitely a token. Definitely... Eily isn't the best. It's fine. Tymna's pretty good. Mikaeus I like because it speeds up our clock a bunch. We'll sacrifice the Zulaport. It'll get us a little bit of life, but it'll kind of just wait in the graveyard for us. Although we got to be careful, our graveyard might get exiled, so it may not be available. But I like our other creatures a lot. So 3 Zulaport triggers, 2 Piper triggers. Opponent's going to get some goats. So thinning out the board just a little bit with that play. Still a crap ton of mana over here. I wonder if they just don't have anything. No, there's Smothering Tithe trigger. Skull Clamp for opponent, that's the one they need. Was this sacrifice a creature? Yeah, it doesn't do much. Mango says I got nothing, I'm flooding, and then said I found a way to unflood. Yep. Skull Clamp will do that. They will actually become quite the threat now that they have card draw and an absurd amount of mana. Soul Ring in for opponent. Grim Haruspex, oh yeah. The Daisy Chain has started. That's non-token though. The one they would easily sacrifice does happen to be a token. Yep, gonna Skull Clamp that. Draw 2 more cards. That's a Grave Titan. Got the promo art. Pretty sweet. Okay, it's 2 zombies out of the deal. Ooh, that's the sacrifice outlet. Yeah, I think I'm on this Blot Out the Sky now. Think it's time for that. There's the Nim Deathmantle. Oh boy. Ooh, does that go infinite with Grave Titan? Turn off auto yields. No, because we can Kaya's Guile and exile their graveyard, which I'm probably about to do. Yep, they're gonna sacrifice their Grave Titan. They will draw some cards. Time for the Kaya's Guile. We're going to make each opponent sacrifice a creature and exile each opponent's graveyards. Mango sacrifices a zombie. I'm not sure if we could have responded to the trigger. It's not a target. Like, I don't think there's any way we could have gotten them to pay for and then respond to that. I think once the trigger, like, it all happens at once, so the trigger resolves, and you don't necessarily get to waste their mana, because that would have been nice to do, but they still have 8 mana left, so they can still get some things done. Plus the sack outlet. Knight of the Last Breath. Sacrifice another creature. Oh, it's got Afterlife 3. That seems bad. Crap. Yeah, really what this is the Smothering Tithe mana coming to kill us. Yep. Danny attempts to Path of Exile the Grim Specs, but no, they take the land. They could have sacrificed it and just started got it back with an Death Mantle, the same as everything else. That does shut off the card draw. Still have infinite mana, though. No, because they can still Skull Clamp. Yeah, this is game, so we're going to scoop it up right here. Ah, that's unfortunate. So I played around a bunch of removal that never happened, which is frustrating, and I don't know. So, like, you know, when you think about, like, does Sun Titan speed up our clock that much? I don't know. Probably the big thing was just not playing the Blot Out the Sky. I should have just blew up the treasure tokens. We would have lost a bunch of our own things, but Smothering Tithe decides games now. That's what it does. If they don't have 13 extra mana or whatever it was, then they can't cast Sun Titan, Nim Death Mantle, have the Death Mantle mana, Skull Clamp for 2 or 3, and Phyrexian Arena or whatever, or an Ashnod's Altar all in the same turn. That's sort of what the game's become now. So that was unfortunate. I was excited to see more of our commander. At least we got to see a little bit of it. It is really interesting. Like, you get to make some interesting choices. Do you need to grow your board state? Do you need to pump up your board state? Do you need to draw more cards? And then you can kind of think about, like, which of those modes is the least detrimental to give to your opponent. So pretty interesting. Kind of a cool little deck. And, you know, the place we're at now is just like, you cannot let Smothering Tithe live. The way to win a game of Commander consistently is make like 15 mana in a turn, and Smothering Tithe does that better than just about anything now. So, yeah, super frustrating. I thought we were going to have a bit longer game right there, and just, you know, got us with the mana. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon, the link below.